If you travel back in time and kill your grandfather before he meets your grandmother, then who do you blame for your non-existence, you or him? It's the grandfather paradox, a time travel thought experiment that has stumped philosophers, physicists, and science fiction fans for over 100 years. And it's all because of a simple question: what came first, the chicken or the egg? So here's the problem. If you went back in time and killed your grandpa before he met your grandma, you wouldn't exist. So how could you have gone back in time in the first place? The idea is so mind-boggling that it's inspired countless sci-fi stories like the movie 12 Monkeys. But the truth is that paradoxes like this are just made-up thought experiments. They have no basis in reality, and that's why we still haven't figured out how to travel through time. For centuries, people have been trying to solve the riddle of time travel. How can we get to the future without moving into the 24th century and getting beamed up onto a starship by an alien race? Or how do we get to the past without accidentally murdering our grandfathers? Well, turns out those sci-fi fantasies may be grounded in reality after all. Because in the real world, there's such a thing as pre-birth memory. And what that means is that we can actually remember things that happened before we were born. Researchers at the University College London have spent years studying cases of people with pre-birth memories. Some of these cases include children who vividly remember being in their mother's womb. Others recall events happening outside their mom's belly, like her getting into a car accident or being mugged while she strolled through the mall. These memories often start popping up when the child is around 3 or 4 years old, but they don't fade with age. They stay as clear and detailed as ever, and that's why some experts believe that these aren't actually memories at all. Instead, there's something called trans-life memories. That is, the memories of other people living their lives. The way they see it, our memories don't die when we do. They're part of us, which means they're part of everything. Memories are just one piece of what makes us us, like our personality, body size, blood type, even our DNA. And if we're not limited to the planet Earth, why should our memories be? They propose that everyone's memories make up this collective sea of consciousness that stretches beyond our individual minds and persists across the universe. And since our memories are part of everything, that also means they're part of nothing. In other words, it doesn't matter if we're dead, alive, or somewhere in between. We're always connected to all the memories that have ever existed. Now, you might be thinking, yeah, that sounds nice, but it doesn't really help us to travel through time. What does that even mean? It's like I want to go to the past and shake the hand of my younger self, but it's not me who's doing the shaking. It's my memories, and if that's the case, then who's the one who wants to shake the hand? I mean, if you think about it, your memories aren't really you at all. They're just electrochemical signals in your brain that tell you, hey, this is a thing that happened. But it's your brain that interprets those signals and decides they're worth remembering. So it's your brain that wants to remember them, not your memories. In other words, it's you who wants to travel through time, not your memories, and that's a pretty big deal. After all, we know from experience that we can't remember stuff that hasn't happened yet, but we can imagine things that might happen in the future. And those imagined events can evoke emotions just like real memories. So, if we can imagine the future, why can't we time travel there? Well, scientists have an answer for that too. They say the key difference between imagining the future and experiencing it is free will. See, every second that passes, countless possibilities branch off into an infinite number of alternate realities. Like maybe you chose to eat cereal for breakfast instead of toast, or your neighbor clipped a hedge instead of watering it. All of these decisions split the universe into parallel timelines where each option plays out. And since our memories are just electrochemical signals, they only register the one we actually experience. So when you imagine a possible future, your brain starts running down the same electrochemical pathways that light up when you actually experience something, but those pathways don't lead anywhere. There's no way to actually step through the looking glass and into the land of Oz because that's not real. Only the one you choose to live in is. To put it another way, we have the free will to shape our own timelines, but it only works in the present. Once you've made your choice and stepped through the branching point, it's too late. You can't go back and pick the other option. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in the timeline where you picked the first one in the first place. So, yes, we can imagine possible futures, but we can't travel to any of them unless we invent a time machine. And inventing a time machine requires knowledge of physics, math, engineering, and most importantly, electricity, and we owe all of those to the past. Electricity was first described in ancient Greek texts, but it wasn't until the Industrial Revolution that we figured out how to harness its power. Those scientific breakthroughs happened in the past, which means if we change the past, we change the future. Kill your grandfather and you change everything, including yourself. So what would you blame for your non-existence, you or him? But here's the thing, the past isn't a fixed timeline. It's a collection of events that led to the present moment. So even if you go back and murder your grandfather, you're not changing the past. You're adding to it. And the future isn't set in stone either. Every decision we make creates a new set of possibilities. So, killing your grandfather creates a whole new timeline where you never exist. In other words, you could blame yourself for your non-existence, but you could also blame your grandfather or your serial choices. Because the truth is, none of it matters. None of it has any real impact on the world around us. It's all just a fun little mental exercise designed to keep us on our toes and remind us to always think outside the box. Well, now it's time to ask yourself another fun question. Why is the sky blue? Click here to find out the surprising science behind this everyday phenomenon, or click here to watch this video instead.